how big an impact is this going to have on the cleanup efforts in the Gulf. With us, Owen Kratz, Chairman and CEO of Helix Energy Solutions. His company owns and operates the Q4000, the vessel that is the command center for the oil spill response and containment at sea. It is a huge vessel. Mr. Kratz, thanks very much for being with us. What preparations are you making to deal with this storm?
Thanks. Good morning. Right now, we're the HP1, the Helix Producer 1, which is the larger containment vessels, completely disconnected and departed the location. Through the night, it was being discussed whether or not to leave the Q4000 on site. Because of the upgrade potential of it being a hurricane, it's prudent that we leave as well. So we're in the process now of de-rigging and getting ready to move off location and stand by. Our expectations would be that we would then move back in on Monday and take 2 to 3 days to hook back up.
It sounds like you do not head to port. You ride it out at sea, but try to get as far out of the way as you can. Is that it?
Correct. We have a hurricane response plan with each of our vessels, and it depends on where the storm track. A vessel will always stay out at sea during the hurricanes, especially the Q4000, which is very, very weather capable.
So, Mr. Kratz, what's the exact impact, I guess, in your sense? If you've got to stop operations, what does that mean practically in terms of what happens to the oil in the Gulf then?
Well, fortunately, this well is well under control right now, being shut in. The pressure is increasing slightly each hour, which is to be expected, but the rate of increase isn't anything alarming. The well should be fine for the few days that we'll be away, so we aren't seeing any real major issues there. So
when we hear all about this, you know, Exxon and other companies saying, look, we're going to change how we are prepared for spills, we're going to spend more money, we're going to have all these task forces, all that. What does that mean in terms of spending? Are they going to come out and say, look, we want to have more Q4000s? I mean, is anyone ponying up that kind of money and investing?
Well, right now, I know there's a number of initiatives in the industry looking at the issue. The bottom line, though, is we're out there hooked up and able to contain the well now, so we have what we need. There's always room to improve it, and I think it's very heartening that the four majors have stepped up to the plate and said that they're willing to fund whatever it takes. And there's a number of different options being looked at as to how this might be improved upon going forward. But basically, the Helix Producer 1 is hooked up, and it's capable of collecting 45,000 barrels a day.
You're probably the wrong guy to ask this, but I'll ask it anyway. What do you think of the Dutch model, where the government owns the cleanup fleet, and it gives an oil company 12 hours to prove the situation's under control? If it doesn't do it, then the government sends out the fleet at the oil or the responsible party's expense. Would we be better off if we had a government fleet funded perhaps by industry?
I don't know that funding of a fleet is that necessary. We have the vessels which can respond very quickly. The Helix Producer 1, for instance, no matter where it's producing, can disconnect and be on location. The missing component has been the hardware necessary to hook it up. Now that we have the hardware, and of course that can be improved upon, the fleet can remain working and be made available on an on-call notice. I personally think that it would be great to put that triggering mechanism under the auspices of the Coast Guard and allow them the opportunity to mobilize the specific assets and hardware when and as needed.
All right, sir. Mr. Kratz, thank you very much. Appreciate the briefing.